Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about testing and why that's so important as you go through this journey of, driving fans to your online universe. So basically, in the last video, we talked about all the three different, areas that you need to kind of focus on in order to make this work. So your audience, your message, and your offer. So basically, as you develop these, there is really no right or wrong. Certainly, there's proven strategies that work, and things that you should stick to. I always believe in modeling. If you're out there looking for where do I start with this whole thing, find something that's kind of worked for somebody else. And again, modeling doesn't mean copying it exactly, but the look and the feel. If it's worked for them for some reason, it probably will work for you. You just have to kind of change the text, and again, the message might be very different, but the look and feel could be similar. One story on this is that a colleague of mine was doing an ad, a similar ad campaign recently, and he had looked at a competitor, and it was just kind of these really, really basic kind of old school ads. And his first reaction was, I can do better than that. I'm a marketing pro, of course. And of course, his ads that were nicer and slicker and newer didn't work nearly as well as kind of these old school ads. And so his competitor was really, on purpose, they were kind of doing these ads that were looking kind of old, so to speak. And again, the lesson here is that if it's working for your competitors, or somebody that you're trying to model, kind of stick to it at least until you've gotten success. Once you've gotten successful, then you can kind of change it up a little bit and try other things. But initially, just kind of go with what works until you've gotten a certain amount of success. So again, on each of those areas that we talked about, the three areas, what I would recommend is a minimum of 3. So if you're gonna have a number of combinations, if you have three audiences, three messages, and then 3 offers. But again, only kind of mess with one area at a time. So if you have 3 different audiences, test the same message and offer to them, and because otherwise you're not going to know what's working or what did work or what did not work. So the other important thing to understand is that as we're going to talk about, or I'm kind of alluding to, is that you have to make money doing this process. So at the end of the day, as you go through this, there has to be some profit coming out at the back end. That money is going to be taken and put back into the front end to kind of gain, continue the cycle of building your audience. So the important thing is that if you don't test and you don't look at the data carefully, you could be missing a huge opportunity that actually was working, but you thought it wasn't. So again, an example would be, let's say you're testing 5 different audiences, and when you look at your overall results, you say, well, look, I put in $500 into this thing and I only got $400 back in terms of profit, therefore it was a failure. But look at your data very carefully, because maybe audience number 2 and 4 out of those 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you look at that data, they might have actually been profitable, like really profitable. They converted really well, and then 1, 3, and 5 did not convert. So overall, it looks like a failure. But if you look at the data carefully, you say, oh, well, wow, there's some success in here. And then simply all you have to do is just focus on audience 2 and 4, get rid of 1, 3, and 5, and now all of a sudden you've got a profitable campaign. So again, testing is very important. I would recommend usually at least 3 different versions on each of those as you go through this process. And you can even do 10. I mean, I know a lot of people that they do 10 on each area, because again, this is kind of where the magic is. Once you test it, once you find something that works, now you've got something of huge value that can perpetually build your career, essentially build your audience, which then builds your career. So very important to do testing, be systematic about it, analyze the data, look at everything, and make sure, okay, whatever's working, that's where you want to double down and put more money and effort into that. What's not working, just kind of get rid of it and move on. And the really nice thing, again, about the internet, I've kind of talked about this in a number of videos, is that number one is that you can really get very, very accurate data. You know exactly where things are coming from, what's working, what's not working. The other nice thing is you can test very quickly. Within, you can do a 10-day test on things, sometimes even shorter, but I recommend 10 days. You can even do $10 a day for 10 days. That's $100. You get a great test. You look at the data, initial data, see what's working, and then kind of, keep putting effort into that. So things happen, very quickly on the internet. And that's a nice thing about marketing. Again, comparing it to old school marketing where you had to put an ad in the paper or something, it took a while because you had to get the ad ready, and then you had to look at their schedule, and then you didn't even know, once the ad went out, you really didn't know if it was working. There wasn't any real okay, within 10 days we're going to know if this is working. It was more let's just kind of run an ad for 6 months or something, usually minimum of 3 months, but 6 months, and then just kind of look at our data and say, do we see some trends of something going up? Hey, that's working, it's not working. So again, and in the old school way, it was very kind of expensive to test because, again, all the old school media is expensive. You had to put tracking numbers. It was very kind of complicated to do it. Now the data is going to all be there for you. Once you get in, let's say for a Facebook ad, you look at your dashboard, you're going to see everything that's working, the exact data. It's all there. There's no extra cost for that data, and you just kind of pick what's working best, run with it, get rid of the stuff that's not working, and just keep getting better and better. And within a few months, you can really kind of figure out what audience is working for you, what message, and what offer behind it. So really exciting stuff. So hopefully you'll do a lot of testing. That's really the secret sauce here, because a lot of people just they do something, it doesn't work, and they say, well, now this doesn't work. Or they do something, it works, and they don't really know why it worked, and then it kind of works for a while, then stops working. So people that are successful in online marketing, which is pretty much, as we've talked about, essentially the only way you can really build your audience today in the music world. There really isn't any kind of old school way anymore that really works. So you got to get good at this testing and really kind of embrace it. That's really probably the best word I can say, because a lot of people are like, oh, that's a lot of work and it's just kind of boring and stuff like that. But you really have to embrace it. Do it methodically, look at the data, and over time you're going to get so much better. So again, test, and you will be successful. So hopefully that helps, and let us move to the next video.